Back for an author talk short. Our lovely guest today is Tonya Clark, who is a US Today best-selling author in the romance arena. You guys know me, Amy, here for Author Talk with Russell Byrne and our lovely guest Tonya Clark. So you guys, hey, you are a romance writer, okay, which is amazing. I'm interested about it, like I mentioned ahead of time. If it was like murder, mystery, thriller, suspense, me and Russell would be like, yeah, all right, we're murdering people. What are we doing? So I'm going to lean a little bit more towards Fern in this realm, but I'm so excited. I know that you're speaking at the Lovapalooza Summit, which starts June 17th. I almost said January. You guys, I'm going backwards in this year.
No, I've said that many times about you. You can be backwards.
I can. Oh my gosh. And it's June 17th through the 26th of June, you guys. So make sure you get your tickets to come and hear Tonya Clark. But tell us all about your books. It's Romance, The Heart Hears, Hers.
Hears.
Thank you. Okay. See, I knew I read it right. It's been that kind of day for me. So I'm just...
Yeah, we could tell, Amy.
I know. I'm sorry.
You know what, Amy? I get it. I have 4 jobs, and this is only one of them. So I understand what happens when you get into this thing, and I 100% understand.
You have me beat 4 jobs. Oh my gosh! I thought I did a lot.
I mean, it's kind of cool. I'm not only the author, but I'm also a photographer, so I get to do all the model covers that you see out there for romance. So I get to work with all the hot guys.
Oh,
yeah, me too. Except I represented them in divorces. Hot guys usually wind up in divorces.
I haven't written divorces.
Oh my goodness!
We're talking romance, Russell. We don't
want
to hear
I represented romance. My wife, the joke she hated the most was I represented new romance. The men and their new girlfriends. My wife hated that joke.
Oh my god, I like it though. Like I like it because it's true. It honestly is true. So I like it.
One of those out.
So we should move on from that joke.
Okay, well let me.
We're making Tonya cry.
Oh, Tonya, don't cry.
Don't cry, Tonya.
You're having a good time, okay? You have a good time when you come on the author talk, okay?
Even this is awesome.
Author talk short, you have a good time.
You guys are fireballs. I like it.
Let me throw up the graphic that you created of all of your books, and let's get you talking about your romance series that you got going on. So here we go. I like it. You guys like my little opera there at the end? I'm telling you, it's that kind of day.
I love it.
You missed the note.
Okay, so just for clarification, the menu at the top is not part of the graphic.
No, it's not. Here. Okay, fix it. I fixed it. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so Tonya, if you don't know, we had a guest whose cover was really impressive and awesome looking, and the theme was really kind of sci-fi. So when I saw the menu at the top, he was explaining the elements of the cover, and I was waiting for him to mention the menu, and he never did. And I'm like, well, what's the piece with the menu there? It turned out it was just Amy's computer.
It was Amy, okay? I can't help it. I'm not perfect by any means, okay? And I'm just, I tuned it out, honestly.
I have to tell you, I see these hot men on your cover. So
they're all mine.
They're all who?
They're all mine. Those are all photographs I've taken.
Wow.
Nice. So talk to us about your series. What you've obviously prolific writer here. What is the series that you're working on right now?
Well, right now, Slide Tackled, which is the 3rd one that was is my latest release. It wasn't supposed to be a series, actually. And I got halfway through it and went, oh crap, now I have an 11-book series on my hand. So it went from a standalone to 11 books. It's I'm also a soccer coach. So I coach 2 teams of soccer. And I keep being asked when I was going to write the soccer book. So I finally wrote it with Slide Tackled. And like I said, halfway through it, I introduced a character and I went, damn. And called my partner in crime and said, well, I just created a series, which I swore I would never do another one after my first one. But now I've got an 11-book series on my hands.
That happens all the time.
Yeah, I was really trying not to let it.
I know, but you know how characters are. They just sort of do their own thing. They do their own thing. I don't know how your writing process goes, but like, you know, I think I'm on one track, and before I know it, they've said or done something that took me to a whole other thing, and now we're off and running on some wild goose chase to round them up to try to get to the ending I had desired, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I mean, I don't like, you know, a lot of people will sit there and kind of plan out their books. I don't do that because by a quarter way through it, I've already changed the plot 16 times and added characters and subtracted characters. But I'm also, which that book has one, I'm also very known for my death characters, not deaf. My characters can't hear.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, my youngest daughter is deaf. So I take a lot of inspiration from her, and I'm degreed in sign language. My oldest daughter is getting ready to graduate from college and degree in sign language. So I think it's not out there a lot in our books, a lot of disabilities and characters with disabilities. So I take our experience, and her, you know, she talks, she doesn't sign. The two hearing people in my family sign, the deaf child does not.
Interesting. Okay.
We're a little backwards in this family.
But hey, well, I'm backwards all the time, according to Russell. I'm backwards all the time. So, I mean, you're welcome.
I ain't touching that. No, but I think that's wonderful because we definitely want diversity in books. And when we think about diversity, we're always thinking about, you know, color, but we also talking about disabilities. You know, there are people with disabilities in our world, and they have romances too. And they have lives and yet vibrant lives. So this is really cool. So when you're talking about a series, you know, the traditional romance series tends to be like, you know, couple 1, book 1, happy ever after, couple 2, same world, book 2. You know, is this kind of what your series is looking like?
Well, like I said, it's a soccer team. So basically what I'm doing is there's 11 positions on a soccer team. So I'm writing each of the 11 positions that'll be on there. The first one is a goalkeeper. And I mean, romance is kind of all about the HEA. I mean, technically, if you're writing a contemporary romance, it's supposed to have the HEA. So yeah, it's not going to be a continuation for 11 books. For one, you really can tick off some readers doing that. They like their stories to complete, but still look forward to something. But yeah, it's basically going to be their story on how they find their other half and their yin to their yang and kind of go from there. But like I said, it's kind of all mapping out, but it's going to be a work in progress. It's going to take a little while to get all 11 out.
And that's very exciting. I mean, you know, with it being a soccer team, you have built in all the romances. Yes. You definitely ended up with a series.
Yeah, I wasn't wanting to though. But I added the main character's best friend in there and went, oh man. So one whole scene in that book just broke out 10 more.
So you're going to be at the Loveapalooza Summit. What are some of the sessions that you're going to be offering? Because that's a writer's conference for those who love to write romance and for readers. It's a kind of a reader and meets writer conference. So talk to us a little bit about the sessions that you're going to be giving for that.
Actually, they found out I write deaf characters, and that's the sessions they stuck me into as character development. So, because there's not a whole lot of it out there. So, and it's a totally different way of writing. You have to really watch what you're writing when you're writing characters with disabilities. I can't say that she heard or they hear, or you know, it has to be a lot different. It's like switching your brain around a little bit. And especially when you have hearing characters and deaf characters all in one book. So my forums are all going to be on character development.
Character with disabilities and being mindful of how you're portraying them. That's awesome. I mean, that's definitely a session that, you know, any writer, irrespective of genre, can use, is, you know, putting in there the work for writers with disabilities and being cognizant of what that actually would be like for the character.
Absolutely. Well, and I get readers all the time. They're coming at me because they're like, well, your deaf characters talk. Yeah. A lot of people misunderstand the disabilities themselves. My daughter, like I said, she was born deaf. She talks. She sings. So I have a book out called Driven Roads where the female main character is a singer and she's deaf, but she ends up touring with one of the #1 country music bands and teaching them how to feel the music. And people are always coming at me because they're like, well, you're not writing reality. And I'm like, I am writing reality. That's the point I'm bringing my characters out for, because the world itself, the deaf community, is so not understood. And so I you have to do a lot of research, or you have to live it to know what you're writing, or they're going to come and get you.
Yeah, and it's especially good to establish the nuances, because it's not all one thing. Just because someone is deaf doesn't mean that they can't talk. And there's probably a gazillion other, little nuances. So I think it's wonderful that you're giving people not just a fun story, but also kind of an education of like, okay, for those of you who are not familiar with people of this disability, here's some information on how, how it could look and what it could be.
Yes, I love it. And that's actually what as a writer, I'm more known for, is my deaf characters. Out of my 10 books, 5 of them have deaf characters in them. So I love it. And I get all the time, like you were saying, a lot of people don't understand. I always tell them about the deaf, because my daughter talking, they're like, well, she talks. I'm like, she's deaf. She's not mute. So
yeah,
that's my most popular response to all of her teachers and everything. I'm like, you guys, she can speak.
That is a good like snappy answer, and I love it, because that is something I would say, and I love it. So the fact that you say that to people, high five, power to you.
Thank you.
Power to you.
Yeah, that was definitely an Amy-esque.
It is.
Amy-esque.
I think Amy and I would get along really well.
Oh, yes, I feel like we would.
As long as you don't cross her, Tonya.
That's all right. I'm the same way, Amy. I'm the same way. I've got Fern. We got the purple thing going. I got Amy with the fast talking, and it's going to go out there just like it is.
I love it. And you have the snarkiness that is Russell. I mean, you get along with all of us on here. Okay, you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Absolutely anytime.
I'll come back anytime.
I love that. I don't think I have. I mean, like I said, I haven't researched the whole romance arena a whole lot, but I don't think I've ever encountered a book that is like romance of, that has like a deaf character, kind of main character. And I like that. I like the whole, shining light on that disability, because I do feel like they are misunderstood and sometimes, and people don't fully understand that. Yeah, they can talk. Like you said, they're not mute. They can talk. Okay. So I think that's creative. Like, how did you get into writing romance? Is this something that you're like had an idea and you're just like, I'm gonna sit and write it, and you knocked it out in like days, or how did that kind of come about?
No, actually, and I do a lot of speeches in high schools and stuff on this. I am dyslexic, and so in 8th grade, don't ask me what possessed me to do this. My grandmother was visiting and left her romance book there. I hated to read. I despised to read, but I picked it up and read it and fell in love with romance novels. And by the time I graduated high school, I was in AP English and writing my own romance. And then a few years went by, got married, life just kind of attacked. I pulled out a book I was working on, and my husband, who is a phenomenal support that I have, he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm looking through one of my books. And he's like, you finish writing it, you got to publish it. I'm like, that's not how this works. 10 books later, and then, partnering up for Love and Devotion and doing author signings and all this stuff. It's how it worked.
Nice.
So
when you
I like to encourage people to understand their disabilities don't hold them back. So I do a lot of speaking in schools and stuff like that to encourage kids to not, with my child being deaf, my oldest having learning disabilities, myself having learning disabilities, I don't want anybody to think they have to be held back.
Oh, absolutely. And I just went through this with my Writers in the Schools assignment of, you get from students what you expect of them. Mm-hmm. And so like, I got an opportunity to put together anthologies from a variety of teachers, and you could tell like which teachers expected for them to write abundantly, prolifically, and, thoroughly, and which ones were like, oh, these poor little babies, they can't do, they can do anything you expect them to. They will rise to your expectations. So I love that you go out there and encourage young people to not let anything, disabilities or anything, stand in their way. They can meet whatever dream they have.
Well, I actually had a teacher who told me I'd never become an author my last year of high school. And so when my first 4 books published, I walked up to her front door and handed them to her.
There you go. You are my person. Oh, I love it. You are my kind of person. Well, Tonya, I know that we are super excited about listening to you at Lovapalooza and getting to hear more about your story, more about your books, and especially more about the way that you do character development. But this is an author talk short, so we are going to do closing comments, questions, anything like that. Russell, you haven't said a whole lot, so I'm going to kick it to you first.
Well, I just wish Tonya hadn't allowed Fern to get on her preaching box. You know how she likes to preach. That's the only thing I had to say.
Oh, Russell, we love you too, man. We love you too. Fern, what about you? Do you have a statement back you want to say, or how's that? How we looking?
I'm just gonna say, I'm a sermonator. I love to sermonate. I mean, but I am looking forward to Lovapalooza, and I'm looking forward to the character development sessions with Tonya, because they're good for any author, even if you don't write romance. All books have some romance, because life includes a romantic connection of some kind, but developing characters that are diverse and understanding characters with disability, that is a huge benefit to any author. So you all need to check that out.
Yes, absolutely. Remember that starts June 17th through the 26th. Make sure you check it out. The link is below down in the comment section. But until next time, you guys, this has been an Author Talk Short, and we'll catch